Much needed break, folks. You got what you needed to. Please like and subscribe since it is exactly right. So glad you got that. Did you hear me? A great start. My new mic, baby. It rocks, it rolls. Oh my God, here we are. Hey, am I being seen on the right screen? I don't know. This looks weird. How's it going, guys? It looks like I'm coming to you from the wrong camera. Am I coming to you from the wrong camera? Yeah, well, yes, I am. Loud and clear. Good. Now we just need to make sure the camera goes onto the right camera. Hold on one second. I'll be back. Always something, my friends. Edit layout. I hit stop camera. That's no good. Settings. There we go. FaceTime camera. We don't want you, you son of a. We want you. All right, guys. Now you're seeing me looking at you, right? Not now? Now? Okay. Hold up your nose. Chipmunk milk. You're the best. I don't think there's great stuff up there. Get higher, Cliff. Get higher. Speak higher. Smoke something or other. Believe the January 18th sexy liberal thing. I'm trying to plan that. I am. I've been invited. You may have seen an interview I did with John Fugel saying I had that on. And John did invite me. It reminded me. So I may try to do that, as crazy as that'll be. But I should start by welcoming you from the Queen City, the radio city. There'd be no radio without us. And right now, a very snowy city of Cincinnati. 14 inches of snow, which actually wasn't bad because I was in France for a week. I'm going to put some of those pictures up on the Patreon. I'm going to get to more about the Patreon in a bit. So you guys can see some of the fun that was had in a place that pretty much resembles a democracy still. It was amazing. I lived there a while back and je parle français, donc it was fun. Saw two friends I hadn't seen in ages. Sheldon Hughes, thank you already with a super chat. It's good to be back, my friend. It really is. We got all sorts of good news with this. You guys coming on over from Tony's place. These have been growing, which is fantastic. We got, you got 5 inches up in C-Bus, Lefty Gramps. Yeah, we got killed down here. Man, we got killed down here. So, what was I going to say? I needed it. I got away. It was hugely important. You guys may have noticed at times. I had more anger. I had more. I talked about this. I was just on with my regular thing, co-hosting with Bob Seska. I encourage you to go to Bob's page and listen to. I need to get his information so I can share that regularly. But the podcast but some of the stuff will be the same. I mean, after the election, I was having a tough time, and I like to be honest about things. I've never had depression before, but the way people have described it, this was as close as I think it's come. And I think we all should have honest conversations about this. If you need to see somebody, you should see somebody. Bob was talking, a little bit about his journey. And I have seen somebody when I've needed to. So there is absolutely literally, and when I say somebody, I'm not trying to be cryptic here. Therapists, different types work for different people, but you need to talk to people. Okay, because it's scary and sad. There's a lot of depression. I'm sure some of you go through it, and we should never give up because there's always something worth being here for, people we love, things worth fighting for. And I was in a difficult place, but because I lived in France, I went back. I got to speak French again, which was so enjoyable. I got the perspective. All of you out there who are from abroad, scream and shout out loud because I'm going to tell you a bit of a story during my rant, which is upcoming. We're going to do Cliff's. I better do that. Tony may get here soon. But we're going to do Cliff's note. But it really reinvigorated me to see. I mean, I hadn't seen these two friends, one Italian from Livorno near Florence and one from Grenoble in the mountains. I hadn't seen them in 20 years. and my family, my kids getting to see stuff for the first time. We climbed up to the second level of the Tour Eiffel, which, of course, the Eiffel Tower when we were in Paris for a bit. It was good. But rant time it is, okay? Let's get Cliff's Note going. Okay. Debbie Fischer, everybody. I know, it's going to shock you. Or Deb, as they like to call her. And Deb's husband, whatever his name is, with the drawn-on pupils. The way they behave towards Kamala Harris is the perfect embodiment of the way MAGA treats everyone. Other Republicans, too, for that matter. But it is the perfect embodiment of a fascist movement, of the way cruel, evil, people that like to play with others, the way I referred to it on Tony's show, wiping lint off of your shirt. People that are worse than you, people that aren't at your level. It's why Donald Trump can tweet out stuff about taking over Greenland or taking over Canada, right? Or whatever stupid thing is going around his mentally addled cerebral fluids floating out of his ears. He enjoys the cruelty and he enjoys saying, I'm above you. That's what this is about. What they loved about this election is a whole lot of people felt, and people that should have known better, some Latino men, some young white men, others, plenty, anyone, white women in many cases. I mean, they went and voted for somebody, and this person, if they get in a room with him, kind of like the Tim Scotts of the world and Richard Grenells, yeah, when you leave the room, they're talking about you. They're a very elite group of them, and they are better than you. So that's who Bill Fischer was and is. He's better than you. I think it's Bill. Who cares, right? Bill, Bob, I'm gonna just call him Pupils McGee. He walked in, and on just January 3rd, 3 days before, if the Republicans had lost, they would have been storming the Capitol. And he went and, they did the swearing in. Kamala Harris is the vice president. She handled it with grace and class, as she always does. Deb Fischer, to her credit, I don't like giving her credit because she's a right wing on everything, handled it fine. And this man, not only would he not shake Kamala Harris's hand, but he wouldn't look her in the eye. He would not lower himself to make eye contact with the vice president of the United States. That to me said more than even the handshake. You see, because they're better than us. And I started looking at their story. And even after I just talked on Tony's show, well, it's quite a story. Friends of theirs, the Fischers, who had had this ranching property since the 1890s, let them share it. Here they let these other people go and use property that was theirs. So what did the Fischers do? They turned around and tried to use a provision in court to steal the ranch in its entirety. Say, well, they allowed our cattle to graze on their ranch. That makes it our ranch. They let us squat there. It's ours. Yes, friends gave it to them. If this isn't the billionaire mindset, if this isn't the monopoly mindset, what is, folks? Friends do you a favor and you try to steal from them. So they failed at that. But then the gentleman, I think his name was Kimes, died, and they were going to turn it into a national park. Oh, but luckily Deb Fischer was on the state Senate, and she made sure this multi-million-dollar piece of property was able to be turned over to her and her husband. Wow. Making the laws, not having a rule of law, making the laws to benefit themselves and their rich cronies. That doesn't sound at all like the billionaires and right-wingers who are in control right now, does it? So they took over this huge piece of land, and old Pupils McGee there got to take over. And I mean, like when I saw this guy walk in, I mean, this is a cartoon. I mean, if Jim Crow came to life, he would be Bill Fischer. If Mitch McConnell came back to life, he would be Bill Fischer. I mean, I think I saw him in Shaun of the Dead. He's just a caricature of this old, cranky, rich white guy. And they are the ones. Are they all white? No. Are they all straight? No. Are they all Christian? No. But that's the genesis of it. That's the main part of the movement, if we're being honest. And others who are willing to kiss their butts enough glom onto it. And then when they're no longer useful, they get chucked. Because Tim Scott, as I said, walks out of the room and they're like, do we need the black guy anymore? So it's us against them. They stole someone else's property. They would steal yours in a second, and they're in government now. What does that bring us to? What happened in the past 2 weeks? People are literally lining up to let Donald Trump steal their money. Corporations who are supposed to represent their shareholders and not kiss Donald Trump's rather large orange rear are giving him millions and millions of dollars for his inauguration. Jeff Bezos, of course, crushed a cartoon and would not allow a cartoon critical of him and his tech bros. Hey, bro, oligarchs who don't care about anybody else and just want to run this country as they see fit because they're better than us again. like Fischer is. And he wouldn't let the editorial cartoonist resigned. That's courage. That's where we need to be. Then there's going to be a documentary made, I'm not kidding you, on Amazon on Melania. Guys, have you seen some of those pictures? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get myself demonetized or anything, but how many pictures are she in with the other ladies? Are they going to be in interesting poses? Are they going to include her whole life? How she came into this country allegedly, illegally, allegedly got her parents in here illegally, was working illegally here, while, you know, doing, let's call them not tasteful nudes. A documentary on Melania. We're going to do a documentary on Gary Busey next? I don't know. What have we fallen to? So that's what he's also doing to kiss their butts. And then Zuckerberg, never wanting to fall behind in line of kissing up to power. And, you know, I mean, remember where these people come from too. Zuckerberg, as you know from the movie Social Media, basically originally invented Facebook because he was an incel dumped by a girl who couldn't handle the fact that nobody liked him. So he wanted to be able to take over their lives. And that's what he's able to do with Facebook, their private lives, because he didn't have one. He only got one once he got lots of money. Well, now he's getting rid of the guy who enabled Cambridge Analytica in 2016, enabled Vladimir Putin to help Donald Trump, is only slightly behind Elon Musk in terms of how evil he is now going to get rid of third-party fact checkers because we need more disinformation in our society. That's going to help us. That's going to get us to where we need to be, with all the low information voters voting for Trump, with all the people that had no idea what was going on. And the key to this, of course, is the fact that he's going to do this as a little present, his tribute. As I said, have you ever seen the movie Flash Gordon? All different people come up and give their tributes to Ming the Merciless. That's what these billionaires are doing. It's pathetic. And if any one of them had the spine or the slightest bit of grit, they wouldn't do it. But most of them, of course, came from rich families where, you know, even Bezos and Zuckerberg came from wealthy families where, you know, mommy and daddy took care of them going to college and they could take the kinds of risks to make all of the money they made. Okay. Well, and you know, Bezos wants to get rid of the post office and turn Amazon into that. So we know what they're all doing. They've got, we're in an age that's nothing like it since the 1910s, 20s, 30s, when there were anarchists running around this country, the Populist Party. There were huge social movements because people had taken over such vast amounts of wealth and had taken over companies that had such competing interests to help themselves, that the justice back then, Louis Brandeis, said, we can either have great disparities of wealth or we can have democracy. We cannot have both. And do I even need to get into what Elon Musk has been up to lately? Asking for people to be nicer. I'm going to promote nice content on Twitter right before saying F you, and I'll say a word that rhymes with it, petard, to somebody who criticized him. Yes, Elon Musk, the guy who's all about positive influences and nice things being said. That's basically what we're looking at here. Again, it was Deb Fischer's husband. He's a racist. He's a scumbag. He's an awful human being. And yeah, they stole somebody else's ranch because that's the billionaire mentality. They're not billionaires. They're just only multimillionaires. So life is tough considering, you know, a cup of coffee in Nebraska is like 2 cents. But they're multimillionaires and they got there by stealing what wasn't theirs. If that isn't Bezos and Zuckerberg, I don't know what is. So of course they wouldn't shake Kamala Harris's hand. They wouldn't shake my hand either, or below them. And it's why they think they should be able to make all of the laws in their little, you know, their little dreams, their little tech pro dreams, lying on their little my pillows, so that they can all just decide how the rest of us live. That's why unelected Elon Musk is in back rooms sharing his low EQ with anybody and everybody, and has been called out by 4 other countries, by the way. Macron just did, and so did Prime Minister, I believe, of Germany and whatever, as interfering in their elections. This is a world thing. We are up against billionaire, oligarch, autocrat dictators. We can decide we're going to fight them here and fight them abroad, or we can just let them have the world. But you can't appease them, and they can't appease Trump. They haven't realized it yet. But a couple of those oligarchs that appeased Putin ended up in prison or somewhere on a 5th floor balcony in a hotel where they didn't want to be. There's no loyalty both ways. So that's what that image represented to me. It's us versus them. Let's get back in the fight. I'm refreshed and ready to go. I think the last thing I was going to tell you, you know, with the Zuckerberg thing, getting rid of the third party fact checking. It was so refreshing to go to another country because you get a different perspective. I sat and spoke to my friend Guillaume, who's French, of course, and he was shocked. I was trying to tell him what speech is already allowed here online, the kinds of hate speech and disinformation is allowed, and he could not believe a democracy would allow that. I've spoken about that here before. He couldn't believe it. I mean, he was like, we would go to prison for that. That's the way Canada would handle it. That's the way Germany would handle it. That's why they're still having problems, because Putin's going after them, but not the kinds of problems we are, because we invite it all in under the guise of, under the acceptance of First Amendment extremism, as bad as our Second Amendment extremism and our Supreme Court. All the other things that they've corrupted and destroyed. There were limits on the First Amendment at one point in time. There still are some. And if you let disinformation destroy information and destroy democracy, what the hell's the point of it anyhow? Take on the Fischers and take on the Musks and the Bezoses. It's no time to sit down. I'm reinvigorated. I'm back. And I'm ready to frickin' go. So let's go. And that's been Cliff's note for today. I'm going to bring in the Ozarkian Parlarkian.
Yo, hey, how's it going?
All right. Was that a decent one for you?
Yeah, I like it. I am. I'm doing a TikTok live now too simultaneously. I don't know how this is working, but
dude,
yeah. So I'm advertising you on
all the
TikTok.
Things I want to do, but because of like my ADHD, I don't get to them. You get to them like months before me.
So here's the thing. So like I was trying to do a TikTok live this morning on my show. And the crazy part is it made me like verify my age right before the show, but I didn't have enough time to figure it out. So between the time that I went to the bathroom after my show and came and sat down, I was like, oh, I'll verify my age while I'm sitting here. So I verified my age on TikTok. So now it's letting me be live on TikTok. So
right,
tomorrow
I've heard you can. I told you that you can do that. I'm gonna do some of that too.
Yeah, I'm setting up my cell phone now. You can apparently you can stream on TikTok through the computer, but I have Apple and you gotta have Windows, so I gotta figure that out. But I'll figure that out.
Maybe I'll work on. I'll talk to you about it. Maybe I'll work on.
Yeah, sure. Or I'll stream live from my cell phone so the TikTokers.
Yeah,
can
I mean
see.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So and that brings me to the point. Another point I was going to talk to folks about, which is, so I've been talking to you a lot and getting into all the details because again, for me, and again, people have had different times. Some people are dealing with a tougher time now being back.
Mm-hmm.
Bob was saying that when I was on with him today, Bob Seska.
Oh, yeah. You go on a show on Tuesday, right?
Yeah. I mean, actually, it's technically considered our show Tuesday. I'm a co-host.
Ooh.
I don't really feel like it. It's Bob's show, but like I'm a co-host every Tuesday.
Now, where does that show live? Does it live on Patreon? Is that where?
It lives on Patreon.
Oh, okay.
And that was actually a point I was going to get to for people here.
Yeah.
So I have had, first of all, I'm tired of always having to censor everything I say. I'm going to still keep doing these here, and I am going to censor things I say. Don't get me wrong. Sure. I have to because that's the only way YouTube will pay me anything for being here. But what I need you all to know is, and Jim Williams, who's here somewhere, I meant to reach out to you and whatever. But the order of operations is going to change. What I talked about these corporations, you've seen what Facebook is doing. You've seen what, even that idiot that's on.
Yeah, I played the clip. I played the clip today of Mark Zuckerberg. It's about a 5-minute video.
Right. And that idiot schmuck, like New York stereotype, and I can say that O'Leary, who's on Shark Tank with Mark Cuban, wants to take over TikTok. And you know what'll happen?
Oh, does he want to buy it? Is it
he does.
Okay. Well, I said today on my show that either a billionaire or a group of billionaires will buy TikTok. I mean,
Cuban said he's not even a billionaire about O'Leary. Cuban said this is his last season on Shark Tank, and he said a couple things in answering somebody online, but it was like, please, you are a billionaire. Like, can our people get together and just buy something? At this point, like, I would be okay with like the Akron Beacon Journal here in Ohio. Okay. Like, can we buy any media or do we just have to let them own everything? But here's my digression. I really do want to get to this point.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to keep doing this, guys, but I kept telling you, I'm working on upgrading and I saw I got a new member and I'm going to get to that here on YouTube. But because this is very important. I still am going to be building I've got over 100,000. They keep putting me under 100,000 again, but I'm back over. But that's the thing. They won't tell me why. Are they bots? Good chance, but they won't tell me. They won't answer me. It is the embodiment of the faceless, heartless corporation, YouTube being part of Google.
Right.
And I have tried to write stuff to them. I'm not answered. I have some doof talking to me in some live chat that I'm guessing is probably just AI. Maybe it's a human, but it's not a human willing to impart any knowledge. It's stuff you'll say like, "What did I say on that one?" The biggest one of these I did, guys. They got 20-something thousand, where I would have made some real money. And what they do is, this is the game they play, which is they say, "Well, sorry, this is only you can only get partial monetization because we're not sure it's safe." Our what do you call it? Our algorithm tells us that. And what that means is partial monetization, I'm telling you, is 20% of what you would get. It's not like it's 50 even. It is much lower. But it takes us up to 7 days. So, but within 3 or 4 days, they get back to you when nobody's watching that video anymore. And you've lost hundreds of dollars in ad revenue. They've now done this to me a half dozen times at least. They've done this stuff about taking away my, having users disappear. Subscribers won't tell me why, won't answer. And if you do ask them, they're just like, "Well, we have a policy. Go read it." Yeah, you've got a policy that's like 2 pages long, filled with stuff. I'm supposed to figure out what the one thing. And so I have decided, in the new year, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. It was stupid to begin with. I cannot have a heartless, faceless corporation deciding everything. They could close this tomorrow, disappear this, and this would all be gone.
Right.
Every subscriber. So, look, I know I do a lot of work here, folks. I know you appreciate it. You say you do. I know Patreon is something that costs money. But I told you also I was working on it to redo everything. And not just benefits, but I'm going to be posting there instead of Blue Sky and other places every day, interacting with you, where we'll be talking back and forth with each other. I'll be posting videos. I'll be posting like stuff from my life. Like, you want to see behind the scenes here when I film a video, you're going to get that at a certain level. You want to see bloopers because I screw a lot of stuff up, you're going to get that. You want to get a few of the people I have coming up in the future. Cuban's one of them who's agreed to come on, but some rock stars for other people. Give you a shout out or a hello.
Do I get to be on? Wait, do I get to be on the day that Mark joins you?
We can make that happen.
Ooh, I mean, I'm not gonna
dislike you for some reason.
Everyone dislikes me, Clip, besides you. You're the only one that likes me.
I like you, but the thing is that I try to make clear to Mark, because it can't be fun if you're a billionaire like Mark and you actually were somebody who worked hard and is intelligent and cares about people and created the cost plus thing that saved so many people money on prescription drugs.
Well, there are a few billionaires out there that do some good.
It must be tough for him because we're not talking about him. We're talking about the vast majority of them. So I'm hoping he's not angry at me because I do try to, it's like what I do with the media. I try to point out a couple of good folks in an island of sewage. And he's one of the great ones who has proven himself. But, he agreed to come on last year. I hope some of my billionaire bashing hasn't changed his mind. But
I think he'll appreciate that.
There's going to be sports folks coming on, rock stars, other people. There's them. But there's going to be regular where your name will go down the screen if you pay a certain amount. I'll give you shout outs. You can send me ideas, pitches for show. There's going to be a lot of stuff I'm going to give you. What I'm trying to say to all of you is I'm really going to encourage you from now on. The regular folks on like Blue Sky, places like that, I will still put up my YouTube link. I'm going to put up my videos, encourage people to go subscribe. But the people who I already know, the ones who are you guys who are showing up here, who are fans, I hope if you're showing up here, I'm going to encourage very much to go to Patreon. I'm not YouTube membership anymore. I'm not saying you can't join that. I'm going to keep that open. Right. But I've already seen 1 or 2 people join here. I'm going to encourage you all. I'm going to be sending you a message personally via YouTube. We'll see how it goes. Encouraging you to switch.
Can you do that? Can you send your members messages on YouTube?
You can. You can send it just to your members. Good. I'm going to send it to you and encourage you to switch over to Patreon. And if there's some money differential, like you have to pay twice for a month, I will pay you back. Because as Tony can tell you, there's a couple differences. One, if Patreon were to go down tomorrow, Patreon lets you have the emails of all your folks. So I know how to
keep in contact with your audience.
I can keep in touch with you and let you know what happened and where I am. YouTube, if people are gone, they're gone.
That's it. So this is why I actually, you say Blue Sky, but and we've talked about this. I have found Substack to be a great platform for these audiences and the communities to connect. I think, and maybe I'm wrong here. I'm wrong every once in a while. I'm wrong every once in a while, but I'm thinking
wrong like
on this one.
98.6% of the time, but this time
Right,
you're
this
right.
one I'm good. Yeah, 2% of the time that I'm right on this one, right? but Substack, Substack is a platform where creators are going to go, and not only that, but people who want to see their creations are going to go too. And it's a platform that is something that is totally different from X or Blue Sky or Facebook or Instagram,
Yep.
where really the creator and the creator's audience can connect. And it's
Can
not,
I,
it's not
like,
driven
I want
by
you to
algorithm.
tell people all of this.
Yeah.
And I want to join you with Substack because that was going to be part 2. I just want to finish. Do you mind if I finish on the?
Yeah, go ahead. Go
I just
ahead.
want to finish on the Patreon part because I want you to know you're going to see it. So I've been back and forth with my assistant. She's awesome and great. Like this morning, trying to work my butt off since I was still a little jet lagged from France, but the snow helped with off yesterday. I keep, because I've talked about this for a while, but all the new stuff will go up there, and it will also go up at the YouTube membership. So you will get that stuff there too. But there's going to be a couple big differences. One, you're getting me at Patreon. I believe our new slogan there is, what is it? Uncensored, unfiltered, and untamed.
Ooh,
You
I
are
like
going to get
those.
me with the curses. You're going to get me with the stories that I can't tell on here and things I can't talk about on here because there's certain words you can't say that have to do with shots in your arm or other things. Like I will talk about real stuff, but I'm also going to let people at Patreon in on behind the scenes stuff in my life and whatever. There will be stories. I've got good ones I think you'll enjoy. There will be lots of cursing and swearing and all that good stuff. It's going to be the real me, who I am, who I was on YouTube in the beginning before they started, hitting me on all of this. And so to me, you're going to get all of that if you go there, which you will not get at YouTube. And hopefully to me, that will be for the YouTube members, the motivator that you'll get everything else for the money you pay for the same level that people get on Patreon at the YouTube membership, except you will not get the real me because they'll demonetize me. I can't say that stuff on YouTube.
Not only do they demonetize you, they may deplatform you. I mean, they tried to permanently ban me last year. It didn't work, but they tried to permanently ban me.
So
and they've done some other stuff to me that I'll be talking about out in the open here soon.
Jim, if you're here, going to throw my Patreon up, how much does it cost? There's all sorts of different levels. You can go now, but the newer levels, I'm telling you, I've got 2 or 3 of the top levels to finish off with my assistant tonight, and tomorrow morning, boom. All the new stuff will be up. You will see. It's not going to, like, there's a $2 level. I can't, do that. There's going to be a $4 level for folks who just want to be a part of this, to be able to talk back and forth, be a part of conversations, and everything. $5, one more dollar, and you're getting a ton of stuff. You're getting 2 extra videos a week. You're getting I will answer your questions in my posts. You'll see. There's going to be a lot more. We have a $10 level, a $25, and there may be 1 or 2 above that. But I'm telling you, if that involves getting Phil Collin of Def Leppard giving you a guitar pick signed, you might find that worth it. Like, they're going to be genuine benefits. I don't expect most people will sign up for the much higher levels. If you do, you will get something amazing. But the $4, $5, and $10 levels a month. And again, if you're subscribed to the New York Times, that's what it costs you. If you're subscribed to the Washington Post, ditch them and subscribe to me, because I will actually tell you the truth. I'll get it wrong sometimes. I'll screw up, but you'll know I got it wrong honestly. I'm not doing it because some boss above my head is telling me I have to say it this way, or I'm trying to get the corner office or get a raise or get a book deal with that piece of orange lard. I don't. So again, I want you all to look into it. And for people who have trouble affording it, we may come up with a program if I have to do that, where I can try to help you with some of it. But that is going to be the place. And then secondarily, I'm going to kick it to Tony and talk about Substack, because, I don't know if all of you know my whole history, but, that's how I began, right? I wrote a book. It's up on the shelf there somewhere behind me on John McCain. See him hugging Bush up there. Actually got pretty good, decent reviews and was a bestseller. I wrote ads for Joe Biden. I wrote speeches for Howard Dean. I've written everything from poetry to songs to writing is what I, came up doing. For comedy shows, for whatever. And I have written probably on the over 500 political columns. So what you'll get if you join the Substack, which I'm going to try to force myself to start tonight. I may have I may have Tony.
I'll force him to start. I'll
friendly,
twist his arm and beat him over
when
the
I don't
head.
do this stuff. What I'm going to do there is you'll get a transcript of videos, but I'm also going to write out a full column, a number of them per day, because I can do that. Like, this is the easiest for me. Writing is it's just a natural thing in the way that, like, my car in the snow will probably break down in 10 minutes because I'm a moron at that. And you'll also get, I'm pretty good with poetry stuff. You get a free, funny limerick at the bottom. I've got one or two people you've heard of with bigger names that will be contributing and putting stuff in there, as well as on my Patreon site, probably. You'll also get a list of things that I find interesting. Concerts. We had that great time also where we talked about the first movies that we all saw on here. I'm sorry, first concerts we all saw on here and had a lot of fun. There'll be concert stuff, pictures. I mean, I got stuff from Green Day, Metallica. Hell, I probably got stuff going back so many years. I'm going to put all my concert videos up there. I haven't shared anywhere. I'm going to put, like, videos of me dancing around like an idiot with a baguette in France. You'll get stuff on Substack and you'll get stuff there. And yes, they will. Substack, you can join originally for free and check out and then decide to join. They both will cost money. But again, I get it. And reach out to me and I will give you an email to do that if you're on such a budget that you can't do 4 a month. But I think it is a very fair to go from, and I would even say 5, because 5 is where you start to get everything. For 5 a month there, it may be $1 or $2, something more expensive at Substack, but you really are going to get most of what I do. I'm going to keep doing these live streams here. I'm going to turn, like, my rants at the beginning into videos on YouTube. My interviews with guests, including Tony, are turned into videos, and I'm going to do a couple extra videos for YouTube. But I've realized in the end, I'm going to put up a pretty good amount. You're getting 2 to 3 videos a day on YouTube still. I can't trust them, and I can't believe that they can shut me down in any minute. And they've done too many things to me at this point. And I've seen what's going on with Zuckerberg. What if Zuckerberg buys YouTube from Google tomorrow? What if Elon Musk buys it? It easily can happen, and it easily can happen.
You think so? Well, let me go back.
It's a money machine. So do I think Google wants to sell it? No. Do I think it's for the right price? I mean, look at the idiot Elon did with Twitter. He paid $12 million more than it was worth.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So are there people that might make an insane offer?
But I think the social media platform that is probably for sale right now is TikTok, obviously.
Yes.
That's probably the one that is most.
And I'll say quickly, I'm going to add to that and Instagram too. We'll get going. Those just were backup, to Patreon and then Substack. But go ahead. I mean, I'm being a dick. There's so much I wanted to tell people, and it's been 2 weeks. Go ahead, Tony. I really don't mean to.
Well, so back to the Substack thing, because I think it is the platform where people are going to be able to connect with audiences. And I mean, people like creators are going to be able to connect with the people that want to follow them, want to listen to them, want to hear what they say. Because there's so many different components to Substack. But the thing that's most unique about Substack than any other platform really is that it has an algorithm-driven part of it where it's like a tweet thing. But it also has a component of a newsletter, which is sent directly to you, and you can go look at what that person's writing. So in the world of independent media, because that's really where we're going, that's how we're going to hurt these billionaires buying up media, and like Jeff Bezos censoring a political cartoon because it makes fun of him, or Elon, throttling posts because they make fun of him, or Zuckerberg trying to get everyone into a culture war fight as opposed to pay attention to the problem, the billionaires. But I'll say this. Substack has that algorithm-driven part, but it also has that part where you can find the independent media voices that you want, you trust, and you want to listen to. Now, whether that be me or Cliff or someone else, that's the great part about that. And it's written like a news type news, a news article. Your mic's off. Your mic's off. You're muted. Yeah, I can't hear you. Maybe I turned something down. But the thing with Substack is that it and I don't know if they can. Did we all lose you? Maybe the audience can tell us if Cliff's his mic's always off. I don't know. His mic's always off. They're saying unmute Cliff. Maybe it was the Monopoly State. We're talking about the Monopoly State here. So now you're unmuted. It looks like you're unmuted. And I don't know if you're powered on or not. But here's the thing: is that Substack, folks? If you go over to Substack, there is that Twitter component. It's like a social media component that has an algorithm that does drive those. But the thing is you can actually connect with the people you want to connect with. I think you're back now. Nope, you're not back now. I really do believe that Blue Sky is not where it's at. And the reason why I believe that Blue Sky is not where it's at is because you can't post video. Okay. And by creator standards, that's really important for us. And I know it sounds like, oh, well, Tony's a creator. He's just being selfish and he just wants us to see his videos. But the point is that you want to see my videos. That's why you're following me. That's why you're subscribing to me. I mean, that's the whole point, is I'm creating the content and you get to watch it. You get to consume it. You get to see it. And that's the point. So if you consider that, Blue Sky is not the place to be. And the reason why Blue Sky is not the place to be, I think you're on now. Yeah, now you're on.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go. You're on now.
The thing that I don't know, I'm concerned it may be new computer time, because I don't.
Oh, you need a new computer?
Well, because I don't do anything, and the light on here, it's happened a few times during one of the rants the other day where I came in and out a little bit, and I'm not doing anything. The mic is clearly working. So
right.
at this point, I looked at all the various things, the system preferences and all, and it was on. So I'm really just starting to think that I've got a couple-year-old computer and it's time for an investment in a new one. Just because I love, this computer's worked and I've enjoyed it, and it's not even me being a cheap Jew. It's
you know what it could be, though. It could be the billionaire that owns your internet service, and we're watching you, and they hear you saying all these things about them, and they're scared of you. But I want to finish my point real quick, and then I'll hop off here because I've got to go. And I appreciate you welcoming to talk about Substack. But I am promoting Substack not because I think it is the bee's knees, but when you're talking about platforms to connect with audiences, but more importantly, for us to connect with each other, because that's what we have to do, Clip. We have to connect with each other to make sure that we fend off any kind of fascism that may be Project 2025 or the Trump regime here. Because if they're so snowflakey that a bunch of doodles upset like Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump's owner, or one of his owners. He's one of his owners, right? If a doodle is enough to upset him, then trust me, our voices being loud and proud and in unison will upset them to where they won't accomplish any of this stuff that they want to accomplish, or at least on a grand scale. So that's my belief. So that's why.
Well, and I want to say something that's important here that I think I kind of mentioned. It's funny. She deserves a much better title, but Veronica, who's awesome, sent me a text here and she's like, maybe unplug and replug the mic. I think that's actually what I need with my brain every day. If I just were to unplug it and replug it, I might be, but
just reboot.
I just need to reboot. But sure. I think I really do at this point think it's the computer. So more to do. But when it comes to Substack, there's also, I think, something very important. And I keep calling on you, and I'm sorry about this, Jim, but if you have Tony's Substack, and we'll put it up so people will know where to find him, because you
just go to theTonyMichaels.com.
Well, whatever, for more people that can just click on something and go find you, the better.
Sure.
So and you'll be able to do that with me starting tomorrow. But when it comes to Substack and Patreon, the huge difference is, again, I'm adding some other corporate platforms because, again, having the variety of them means if one shuts you down, there are even certain other corporate ones, right? So videos I make here, I'm going to put up, I keep saying I'm going to do this, but again, these are projects we're working through, TikTok and Instagram, although I have to think about that a little bit with Zuckerberg, because I really don't know that if I want to support him anymore in any way, but okay. In other places. So there's backups to YouTube. But the real backups, and these are going to become going to become the sun of my universe. I'm just saying this, so people get it. It's going to be Patreon and Substack are going to be the two in the center that everything else revolves around. And again, Tony said a lot of important things about Substack, but I don't think I may have missed it. He didn't say one incredibly important thing, which is what I said about Patreon. He gets your emails. They do not hoard your information so that they can just sell it to God knows who, because they're not, I'm not saying they're not corporate at all, and whatever. I don't even know who owns Patreon or Substack, but they allow.
That's probably a good thing that we don't know.
It probably is. But we will have your Cliff. Ask Cal to hook you up with Rob Glenn. I'm going to. I've talked to Rob, actually, genius tech guy. I'm like, please help me with everything. But the key thing is with both Substack and Patreon, and why I'm going to start, there will be daily, regular stuff at both of them, multiple times a day. And yes, there'll still be videos on YouTube also, and this stream a few times a week. But the reason I'm gonna do that there is not only because Patreon and Substack do not censor who I am, and don't get this mixed up with right-wing crap. Because when Elon Musk yells about censorship, he wants to share disinformation with you. I want to share funny stories about Elon Musk and curse about him, which they won't let me do on YouTube. So it's not about like censorship of disinformation, which I believe very much in, because disinformation destroys democracy. So being able to, like, we're not children, being able to curse and talk about mature subjects and that kind of thing. Thank you, Nikki. And so, and the fact is if I don't have your email and Tony doesn't have your email and they disappear, you guys, tomorrow, you're gone. If you don't find me, I don't find you. I've worked about the last 9 months, at this point, it's pretty close to 9 months, worked my butt off to get to over 100,000 YouTube subscribers. The thing's been live for 2.5 years, but I was not really taking it seriously for a while. And about 9 months, and they can take that all away from me like that.
That's what they want. They want to be able to take it away.
And they can make YouTube disappear. And I'm not gonna. I can't keep putting all of this into that. If they're A, can disappear everybody and shut me down, and B, okay, who just said cry harder, inbred, bitch in here? Whoever that is, knock that crap off. And I don't care if there's two people fighting here. I'll let the moderators figure it out and whatever. But if somebody is in here being a troll, kick them out. And if somebody in here said something terrible to you, fine, respond to them. You don't need to use that language. Okay, come on. In any case,
the hall monitors means you. I gotta go, Cliff.
That's the last thing, which is, if we're going to walk, if we're going to talk the talk, we have to walk the walk. And talking the talk about these monopolies and their control of our lives is, personally, for my, peace of mind, I need to have other places where I move folks to, you guys to, where I know that people that I get to know well here, who like what I do and all of that, can get 10 times more content for paying a couple dollars a month, right? And that we'll keep in touch. If they screw us, I'll have your email. You'll have my information over there. Whereas, also on top of that, no corporation at this point in time is to be trusted. They've proven that. They must. And
I see a couple people in here like, hey, YouTube. People say YouTube's good. YouTube's good. YouTube is good. The creators on YouTube are good. Some of the content they're creating is good. I think what Cliff is trying to get at is that at any point, if YouTube decides that they want to disconnect us as creators from you, the audience, they get to do that. There's nothing we can do about it. But there's some platforms where that isn't the case.
Well,
where we are connected.
Right? I mean, I'm not saying it was perfect. It had its issues, but ownership, Elon Musk swoops in, takes it over, turns it into a Nazi farm, like into an inbred Nazi farm, gets rid of like the moderators, lets anything fly, and the entire thing's falling apart. The point is that, do I like YouTube overall now? Yes, I do. Do they still demonetize me sometimes, or at least partially demonetize me? And have they disappeared subscribers if they were bots? Fine, I don't want them, but they haven't told me that. Tell me why you're doing what you're doing. When you're a consumer, I guess I'm the product is really what the truth of the matter is here. But you're involved anything you do with a corporation, that corporation should tell you the truth, should tell you how to use their product, what you need to do with it, how you're violating terms of an agreement. They won't tell me that. So I'm not saying YouTube isn't better than the others I've dealt with. It's far better than Twitter, which is a joke, and Facebook, which is a joke. And I don't have that much experience with many others compared to those two. Sure. But again, guys,
it's a monopoly. That's the problem.
It's a monopoly. Any moment,
that's it.
A Musk can swoop in, or somebody at the top of Google can decide we want to be deregulated in one of the other areas of our policy. Donald Trump told us to kick all lefties off of YouTube, or at least to start unsubscribing their people. Do you think they wouldn't do that when you've seen what Bezos and Zuckerberg and these guys have done? I'm just saying, I'm doing what I think is the smart thing right now. Okay. And creating something that I know will last. So I'm still on YouTube. I still like YouTube overall. I'm still going to be producing many videos. My live streams will be here. My 5-minute videos or to 8-minute videos. My shorts will be here. All of that. But you're going to get a ton more over there, and you're going to have a personal connection. And I'm going to be so there will be stuff, that I used to do sometimes here that I'm going to spend more time doing over there for folks who are willing to make that investment. And again, I don't want to exclude people. So if you are in tough financial times, if there are difficulties, so even 4 or 5 a month, you can't just say, I'm going to cancel my subscription to the New York Times, which sucks and destroys democracy. Instead, I'm going to give it to Cliff or to Tony's, Substack or whatever. If that's stuff that if you can't handle it and whatever, I will share an email with you, and you can email me and we can try to figure something out, because I'm not trying to exclude people here. I'm trying to do the opposite. Make sure that YouTube can't destroy what I've created.
Well, hey, I gotta get going. I appreciate you having me, and you're gonna be on the show tomorrow, and maybe I'll come on your show tomorrow since it's like snowy outside and stuff here.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's see, what the hell day is today? Tuesday. I mean, I just want this to be an easy hello to everybody, especially because I wasn't even sure I was going to get here through the snow, and I may not get home, but I'm here for you guys. No, I mean, I wanted
I've got to go play in the snow, so I'll see you later, Cliff. Audience.
Awesome.
Go visit my Substack. Just go to theTonyMichaels.com. And Cliff, get on Substack tonight. I'll twist his arm, audience. That way you can go.
My arm, leg, and nothing else.
Beat him over the head.
My arm and leg.
All right, everybody. We'll
take it easy.
Bye-bye.
So guys, listen, if you want to start questioning about this, throwing stuff out, so I see here Brenda who says I'm disabled, so I don't have that disposable income. Okay, so let's find a way for you and I to have this discussion. You know what I mean? Here you go. Here's an email that you can all reach out to, that you can all send me emails at, that if you want to have a discussion about this. And if there are ways that I'll talk to folks and see, I mean, obviously, if everybody starts doing this, that's going to be a problem. But I think you're good people, you're liberal people. I trust you. I would hope people will be honest. And again, if you're not in a situation where you're, if you're employed, if things are going well, if even going decently, 4 to even be part of the community, and 5 to get all the other benefits, the extra videos and whatever, really isn't a month a ton of money. It's what you pay to any service you subscribe to. You pay a hell of a lot more to cable. And that was my email I put up there. You can reach me at. Yes, Screams. I did see Trump's presser. I was going to mention. I mean, again, I did mention it, I think, in my original, in my Cliff's note, which is that Trump, he may, I think, well, no, was it Greenland? He mentioned maybe in the thing he wrote, but he said a bunch of stupid stuff. He's in the throes of dementia. He's crazy. I think he said Hezbollah was involved with January 6th. I mean, that should kind of tell you everything you need to know. It's part of my anger, frankly, for the people who voted for this schmuck, knowing everything they know about him. It's for the people who did, for people in our country from vulnerable groups that fell for his crap, for everybody that came together and ignored media, that didn't consume media, that didn't turn out and vote, that decided that this guy, this person, this man staring up into eclipses, and of course trying to buy Greenland in the past, and best friends with Pootie Poot, and everything else, criminal and assault, and everything else about this man, decided that he was worthy of putting back there. But even beyond that, the drama, the fights, the stupidity of having to hear him say stuff about Greenland, the stupidity, like these are the things that we're not going to be able to let ourselves get distracted by, as I think Tony's gotten to. We need to stay on him about the stuff that hurts, that takes a chunk out of him, which is gross to think about, but that kicks his butt. The policies that he engages in with billionaires to screw little people. And we can say that little people is everybody else, quite frankly, even people with $1 million. Okay. And frankly, we can put that in language where we go after him, we message it, we attack him personally for the fraud that he is, for the criminal he is, and all the other stuff, because frankly, that's what most billionaires are. They fit right in there. There's a reason why these people he's picked for his cabinet all have these records, whether it's, assault or it's other criminal activity or unethical activity, or because the people that have gotten to that point are the Deb Fishers who steal other people's cattle ranches, who are nice enough to let them graze on theirs. That's who they are. That's who they've always been. That's why they're attracted to MAGA. So, yeah, that. What else we got? So do we have a couple folks here? I said that the only thing that stinks here is that it won't pop up if you join Patreon, but I hope a couple of you did. Got you on LinkedIn now, Cliff. That's good. I'm not on LinkedIn often, I will tell you, Stargal, but it is a place where I do have an account. I've thought about what I should do with that because it's so much more of a serious place, and that ain't me. Yeah, I did see Holly that he said he's sending Donald Trump Jr. to Greenland, and I guess Denmark, after mocking us and saying they were going to take the U.S. over and try to turn us into a functioning democracy or whatever they said, which was right and hilarious at the same time, which is how you handle it, by the way. Don Jr. is just there doing 8 balls and making stupid videos, I'm sure. Like they're Denmark. They're not as big as the United States. They have to humor us. So let the idiot travel over there, meet with him, let him get a few pictures. Nothing's happening. Trust me. What else do we want to talk about? Other stuff today, it won't be as long. I didn't have a guest on purpose, but also, like, while the sun is still, it's not really bright out there, but while it's enough that I don't have to be worried about my car getting stuck, I'm going to need to get out of here. Which doesn't mean I'm leaving yet. We're at 2:52. So it's less than an hour. I will stay here at least till between 3:15 and 3:30, as long as we got enough to talk about. What else has happened that is interesting? Conan O'Brien already went to Greenland. That's fantastic. Hold on. I want to give you guys something I promised also. Here we go, guys. I'll read you this one if it opens, because I told you we were going to have a new segment. I'm going to get segment music for it. FAFO. Here's our FAFO segment. Voters who supported Donald Trump are continuing to learn the potential consequences of electing him to a second term. Their stories are going viral per BuzzFeed. They've revived a 2015 meme. Well, we already talked about that South Dakota farmer. They got him in here who's like, well, I've got undocumented workers, but I'm sure they wouldn't be dumb enough to take away our food supply now, would they? Well, yes, guy, they would be dumb enough. It's Donald Trump. And those are things he can do easily. See, it's much tougher to actually go into a city with troops. The things he says he's going to do that I don't think, I think others will stop him, but B, he won't be organized. He'll be too lazy to do. But it's not difficult to send ICE up to a farm in South Dakota and grab a bunch of people. It's not difficult. Here's another good part. Another Trump fan is seemingly realizing the president-elect's proximity to tech billionaire Elon Musk is a bad idea for the normal American business owner. Really? You're realizing that? Did you not hear Elon Musk attack woke corporations and say, and join in? He supported DeSantis, joined in attacking Disney, not the part of Disney, of course, that gave Trump money, ABC and all of that, in what really amounts to a bribe. But no, because they wanted to include characters of different backgrounds, and we would never have that. So what were you not watching, Trump fan? One conservative asked social media users to help with good counter argument to give those who point out how much Trump proposed tariffs will hurt the economy. Yeah, there is no counter argument. The tariffs are going to kill us. So guess what? F around and find out, my friend. That's the guy who, especially here, I think we'll highlight today. I wish I had his name here. Who's worried about him being too close to Elon Musk? Yes, they will eventually get in a fight. Yes, competing egos. They're just as dumb as each other. They're almost the same person, just not the same age. Made their money through racism, initially families, but while he is friends with him, Elon Musk is going to be making the policies. Elon Musk wants to cut your Social Security. He thinks it's a waste. He doesn't think the subsidies for his car company are a waste, of course. But Social Security, Medicare, he's going after all of that. You voted for him. Smart move, guy. Smart move. So I will start getting this to be a more regular and prepared segment. So you guys, I won't just sort of jump in with a little faffo I find along the way. But spoiled brats who never grew up, yes. And there are a bunch of them that are still, I mean, we can look up more if you guys are enjoying this. There's a whole bunch of them who are still out there. They're just, they're addicted to stupid. Not sure what else to say. Let's see. Trump supporters who regret it. Jim Gaffigan. Interesting. That's from a week ago, though. And he's not conservative. Regrets Trump supporters thinking he was attacking them. They will never forgive me. Okay, well, that's different. 12 people who regret their Trump vote. Isn't that such a BuzzFeed headline? Although it's a headline to YouTube's too, because people click on it. It sucks that we have to do that. See, that's another thing I like about videos I'll put up at Patreon is I don't have to worry about clickbaity headlines, right? Like I'll just give you actual videos. For the people that do the regular package there, the basic one, there'll be a video at the beginning and end of each week at the very least, kind of summing up my thoughts, where we are, what's good, what's bad, and then some other shorts and stuff in between. Okay, so here you go. My government contractor colleague who voted for Trump and then found out after the election that he intends to fire federal contractors on day one. That's a great one. I'm a fifth grade teacher and I have quite a few special needs students. Jeez, with accommodations for the disabilities. Quite a few parents in my school voted for Trump because they thought he'd lower the cost of living because he was more anti-abortion than Kamala Harris. And that's Trump's one. We've warned parents we can't guarantee accommodations for special needs students will still be functioning as they are right now because the Department of Education is on the chopping block and they're freaking out. You voted against your own kids and you saw this guy mock a disabled New York Times reporter, among many other things he did, to show you he could not care less. Remember, he said that to his chief of staff, who of course shared with us, General Kelly, who said that Trump didn't want to be around injured veterans because they were losers and they made him look weak. Right. He's always cared about the disabled. So you guys are really smart on that one. Multiple folks I knew had no clue that Obamacare and ACA were one and the same. Very rude awakening. How long does it take you to learn that? I'll save the rest of these for another time. But again, we've been talking about Obamacare and the ACA forever. I remember back when they didn't know that the great program being run by Bashir in Kentucky, Connect, and this is the current Bashir's dad. So we're talking about a decade plus ago. They're like, I love my Connect, but I hate Obamacare. Like, it's the same thing. Well, you would have thought after all the fights over Obamacare with that dramatic moment where McCain in the end did not vote to get rid of it and it stayed, he became that close to it going away and millions, probably more than tens of millions losing their health care. And you would think that was something people may have understood. Trump said it was a goal of his. No, I guess not. They didn't get that. I gave up on Republicans around 1980. Vicky, that was the right time to give up on them. Honestly was. Reagan was a disaster. If you look at, I've said this many times before, if you look at our me culture now of I don't have to get a shot, I don't have to I can own any gun I want, all that stuff. That comes from what he did when he said that he took away the 50 greatest years. Again, there was still a ton of, we had Jim Crow. We had, women did not have equal rights. I'm not saying, it was perfect by any stretch, but we were headed in the right direction on all of those things. And we had 50 years where we had a huge, robust middle class, top tax rates of 70 to 90%. We're breaking up monopolies like crazy, like a functioning great. We created the greatest, the strongest, and largest middle class in the history of the world. And Reagan came in, and we were very similar to most Western European countries. We were more liberal than some of them at that point. We provided more benefits than some of them. And then you see the graphs, the charts, where they keep going up in this direction, and we just crash on everything. Because they chose to believe an actor, a liar, a BSer, before even Trump got here, over Jimmy Carter, who turned into and was a living saint, who was a man who actually believed so much in the New Testament that in his 90s he was building houses for people. They called themselves Christians and voted for Reagan, who said, cut your taxes. But the guy they wanted to help people was building houses, people who served in the Navy, who had basically his whole life was service. That's the guy that get kicked out. Good job. It's since the 80s. Now, I'd say 88 to 92, George H.W. Bush moved things back a little bit. He was still horrible. He had once been a full-on moderate. I don't know if you know this, but his nickname when he was in, I always forget, the Senate or the House of Representatives, I think it was the House of Representatives, I think he was called Congressman Rubbers. Wasn't because he wore them on his feet when it rained. It was because he believed in birth control so strongly. That's right. That's actually true. But then he came out to be anti-choice and all of that because of Reagan. But he still balanced a budget in 1990 that was very important and wouldn't do the crazy Republican tax cuts. He passed talking about disabled Americans with Disabilities Act. Like George H.W. Bush at least still did some positive things. By the time we get to George W. Bush, it's almost all falling apart. Even the things that he so-called wanted to do to help, like do things to make education better. All he did is make people teach to the test and standardize things that can't be standardized. Cliff, you need to resize your banners because they're right in your face. Okay. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Well, or I need to. Test, test, test. Hello? Hello, hello? Okay, I'm back, I guess. This is frustrating, folks. I'm sorry. They're obviously, I can't even touch my microphone. So it's got to be the connection in there because I do not think if it's this mic, I'm just cursed. I'm cursed. Hello, is it me you're looking for? Do you see it in my eyes? Do you see it in my smile? That's how much I'm losing my mind now. I'm going to start singing Lionel Richie because I saw you guys quoting it in there. Loose connection. Yeah, Jim, that is correct. But I think that's coming from the Jack here, which is I know it's cool, Lefty Gramps. I know it's whatever, and I'm not going to even let it get me upset. It's just, you put a lot into wanting to have a good program here, and I don't want new folks. You guys are awesome, and hopefully already are fans. And a Mike having a problem here and there, aren't going to disappear. But you want to bring people in, and this isn't the best way to do it. And I see what you said up above. Where were we? I lost it. But somebody had a great remark about Mike's not quitting out. It's the connection. And that is very true. Like, unless there's something very messed up, with your mic. Donald Cox said it. Thank you, Donald. Something very wrong with your mic, like you've busted it up or something. And this thing came wrapped in like 5 layers of bubble wrap. And, this was one of the best they had on the market. Like, I decided not to mess around this time. So, new computer, woohoo! We'll work that out soon. Probably not this week, but by the time I'm on next week, we'll work it out. To get through 47 inches of snow this week. All right, so starred folks. Sheldon Hughes, I mentioned you already. Good to have you back with a $2 super chat. I'm going to ask folks now, please, if you can jump in for the Cliff New Computer Fund. New member, awesome. Thank you, Deb Jensen Rookard. I also, as I've said to you, will be sending stuff to you and others at YouTube. You can stay there as members. That's totally fine. You'll get all the same content except for the dirty stuff. And no, I don't want it to sound like that. Not dirty. Just me swearing and some stories that probably are a little too off color for YouTube about things I've run into in Washington and other places that I may have to not. Everything else you will get that everybody else gets, but I will try to move folks over the best I can from YouTube to Patreon. Kelly Starr, $5. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Fantabulous. And then here we got Holly Faffa being awesome and gifting 5 Cliff's Edge memberships. So cool, you guys. We'll get 5. I think the way that goes, right? Randomly picked 5 1-month memberships, and hopefully you guys will love it. And then hopefully we will move you over to that Patreon place too. Nikki Oliver, the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. Fantabulous. You were very kind. I have also Sylvia, who gave me $6.99. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. And again, another new member. Again, don't get me wrong. If YouTube membership is where it's at for you, I love that. So thank you, Petrazi20. Great Italian name. But while I will love for you to join the YouTube, I will also share with you how to join the Patreon for new people, for people who already joined YouTube, and everybody else in this world. And then we'll get to the Substack part of our program in the near future. Get your cords at Guitar Center. They won't fail. Donald Cox. Well, I don't think it's the cord, but I will. I do have a friend. Not many people are in this office today because the snow didn't brave it. But I do have a friend who lent me his mic at first, and that's when I got this one. And I'm going to, I'll sort of test it on his and see what he has to say. We'll figure it out, but I'm almost sure it's got to be the computer. Thank you, Sheldon, for the gifted 1 Cliff's Edge membership. Fantastic. It was interesting, and I didn't have this problem. I was using this mic, obviously, on Bob Seska's show today for about an hour and 45 minutes, and we didn't have the issue, but it has happened on here before. So you don't know. But listen, everything's happened on here before. As you said, I am a different human fundamentally than I was before I got away from my rest and relaxation in France, because, it was honestly like in some ways being emotionally reborn. I've been in such a funk since the election. I'm sure a lot of you a lot of you understand that. A lot of you get it. And sometimes I felt like I was going through the motions, but I needed that. I needed to get away. I needed to try something to go back to a place I loved, to see friends I loved I haven't seen forever, to spend time with my family who I love, to get to speak a language I love, to get away from America for a week. I hate to say it. Maybe there's a sale at Best Buy. Jim, again, I still I don't know how to thank you. You're already moderating and doing all of this. We're gonna, if folks do hopefully what they do here, we start growing Patreon and these various things. Well, maybe there'll be a nice bonus for you, Jim, at various quarters, because I don't believe in people laboring without being reimbursed. Reimbursement's not the right way to say it. Without people being paid for their work. They deserve it, and you're doing great work here. So rest assured, somehow, maybe I'll talk to you privately. Maybe you love Def Leppard and want a signed guitar pick. Maybe it'll be an object, a cool thing like that, or maybe it'll be a bonus. But thank you for all you do here. Stargal 46. I need a vacay really soon too, Cliff. I get it. I mean, that's the thing. You need one where, look, I still had to post videos, but I create all the content beforehand, so none of that had to be done. And I was able to replay. And you guys know this. There are people that give me crap about this, but I'm going to say this again and again. So hopefully people get this. Not everybody can be here at 2:00. All right. I'm glad that you guys can, but I want to get as many views as possible so I can do this as much as possible. I want to get a message out to people. And I also want people to have the opportunity to see this who might not otherwise. So I'm going to rebroadcast these. There are a bunch of these were rebroadcast numerous times while I was on vacation. I did some of that. I also had some videos ready and some shorts. But you should understand that, like, I'm going to rebroadcast these. There'll be one this evening, probably somewhere between 7 and 9 o'clock tonight. And it'll be definitely I'm figuring out the exact time. So you'll have a good schedule. I'm already getting that together of when exactly things will come out, because it differs some days. There are some days where Crooks and Liars and some other big platforms promote my videos 4 days a week at 7 a.m. But it means it helps the videos have a chance of going viral. So like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I do a launch at 7 a.m. Other days, it's probably going to end up being 12 o'clock video or a short 2 p.m. We're going to do this. And on days when I'm not doing this live, you'll get the replay, the rerun, and then 5 o'clock I'll have another video, and then we'll see. We'll have a few more at Patreon and YouTube memberships. But I'm going to replay each of these a few times. People do reruns on in cable, right? Shows are watching reruns. Like, some people came after me and like, "You're tricking people. They think you're live." And I'm like, I tell people, I'm not like I'm trying to hide anything. I try to put it up on the YouTube membership wall. Not membership, YouTube community wall. I tell people during these things that I'm going to rebroadcast at night and the next morning. Hopefully soon enough people will get it, that I won't have people thinking I'm like trying to pull a fast one. You're trying to trick people that you're live, but you're not. I'm not trying to trick anybody. What's the read my lips thing? Are you guys telling me that you can't hear me again? I don't need to leave my banners up so long. That's actually a good point. I think a lot of stuff has happened. You go away on vacation and things change. I don't feel like I changed the position of where my computer, where my chair and camera were, but maybe I did. That may have something to do with it, right? Even this is a little bit in my face. Oh no, I moved it. Shit. Can you hear me? I moved the microphone. That's a good question. You don't like my music. If YouTube, Google gets to decide what is too emotionally charged, then where are we heading? Yeah. Thank you, Lefty Gramps. You can hear me. We're good. Listen, yeah. But Facebook does now. And we're headed to a bad place. It's why we're here. It's why we're fighting. It's why we're not shutting up. They're all, I think some of it will calm down. Some of them at some point will stop being wimps. Some of them more, hopefully, like Mark Cuban will speak up. Other people important in our culture and our society But, I mean, yeah, like already Google and YouTube are deciding, they're not in the same level as these other places, but they're deciding what I can say because they started demonetizing me or partially monetizing me. And again, was it because I cursed too much? Maybe. It's because I mentioned things about conspiracy theory type things that RFK Jr. has to debunk them. Could be. They once banned me for nearly a week for trying to debunk Trump's attacks on our elections. Why? Because their algorithm read it as me supporting his attacks on our elections, even though I was debunking them. And so I lost a week of revenue. Like, this is what you're dealing with here, right? A huge corporation that doesn't even have a human monitoring it. It has its algorithm, it has its AI. And if they determine that you've broken the rules, not only can they determine that randomly through it, but they won't tell you what specifically you did. Like I tried to say to them, they kept saying, well, why would you not tell people? Why would you not say, you said these words, we don't want you to say these words? I don't get it. It's not corporate secrets. If you don't want people to share conspiracy theories on your site, then tell people you don't want them to, and you wish you didn't have to stop letting them say this, that, and the other thing, but you're going to have to make them stop saying this, that, and the other thing. All right? I might think it's stupid, but at least you understand it. But you won't even do that. You won't tell me what words I can use and can't use. I don't know how much I can curse. I know that you let me get away with the same amount of cursing I was getting away with it fine in my regular videos. You just won't let me do it live when I'm on live streams. But again, then I have to worry like, oh, well, put in for your 100,000 plaque now. I know, Cynthia, I should do that because who knows? They may knock another 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers away again, and then I may fall off of below 100. Am I still above 100? I don't know. I was when we started the show. I may no longer be. Let's see. Let's go to YouTube Studio. If you can tell, I'm not hugely happy with them right now. And I'm not saying they're not far better than, oh, look at that, 100, 190. Okay, that's cool. And you know what, though? Judging from past experience, I could wake up tomorrow. When I left for France, I think it was right at the beginning of the week, I was at nearly 101,000. All right, thank you, Mr. WW, member for 3 months. Nice. And I was at both times they did this to me. They waited till I was at about 101,000, and then they took away like 2,500 or something, 3,000. I was down to 98. So it wasn't the full 3,000, 2,400. I don't know. I was down to about 98.6 or something like that, and had to work my way back up. And the thing is that it wouldn't be a big deal except for they make it such a big deal with the plaque and all that. They're like, well, it's a really big deal that that you get to that you get over 100,000. We allow you to sell your merch on the site, and we verify you. Shiva, member for 1 month, thank you. They do all these things where they make 100,000 this big point. So why then, if I had a bot problem, if Russian bots jumped on it, that may have happened. Look, I'm not as high profile as some people, but I did work for Biden in 2020 and had a lot to say on Twitter and whatever. So if I did have a bots trying to mess with me, follow my account, see what I was up to, all that kind of stuff, why wouldn't you remove them when I was at 90,000? Why wouldn't you remove them when I was even at 98,000? Why both times do you wait till I get just past 100,000? It's almost like you're like trying to make me Sisyphus. I'm pushing the boulder up, pushing it. I think I got it over the mountain. Nope. I mean, it's almost like they're trying purposely to mess with you. Seriously, that's the way it felt to me. Like, you made 100. Now you didn't. Again, I'm not angry about it. I have been very angry about it. I'm in a much better mood now. Because as I said, a vacation will do wonders. But I would say to all of you, I don't care what it is in your life. If you lot of your money in one bank, again, I'm not a stock market guy. I don't want to have the Wall Street regulators come after me, although I'm sure Trump will fire them all. So I'm not going to tell you what your financial strategy should be at all, except for I'm saying, whatever you do, whether it's your money somewhere, whether it's, whether it's your information in one place, but diversify. Do not trust any one corporation because they've proven themselves unworthy of that trust with some exceptions, right? Costco is great. Patagonia is great. They exist, but I like to call out the exceptions, like I do with someone like Mark Cuban. There are some great people out there who are billionaires. There are some great companies out there, but the vast majority of them are not, and they don't care about you. And from the ethos of the 30s to the 80s, when they would have been embarrassed to make 300 or 800 or whatever what times that their workers are making, fire their workers so they can keep their $20 million, $50 million salaries, not raise wages, cut sort of pensions and benefits, the kinds of things that just didn't happen then, right? I mean, I'm almost like giving you the plot of like Allentown, Billy Joel's song. I don't know. Listen to some of that stuff. There's plenty of it out there. That's one example. But like, this wasn't by accident, and there's deindustrialization and a bunch of these guys at the top bought up assets cheap and took advantage of stuff, and a lot of I can tell you somewhere here in Ohio, took advantage of a lot of either the very small cities or the larger towns and whatever. And just most people are left destitute while they took over everything. That's who some of these people are. They're not good people. They're Deb Fischer, who again tried at first to steal her neighbor's grazing land, multi-million-dollar land, and eventually, when the neighbor died, did steal it from being a public park for everybody. Mark Cuban, Cynthia Rice said, is the Pittsburgh work ethic. That's right. Good Midwesterner. Went to like a public school, went to the University of Indiana Business School, which is actually one of the best in the country. And maybe the only one up that high, one of the few up that high. Miami of Ohio, here in Ohio, is excellent too. There's a couple of them that are public universities that are in there with the Harvards and Whartons and whatever. So it's not to say Mark Cuban grew up poor, but he didn't go to all, just the name brand. Oh, I'm gonna go to Harvard and Yale and all that and whatever. He's real. Yes, most people are, as Cynthia says, are employed by small businesses. That is very true. Problem is, again, when the big folks step in, monopolies, they buy up small businesses, they undercut them, they screw them. So we're still there, and it's by a lot. But I mean, wherever Walmart goes, small businesses mostly cease to exist, at least that compete in any way. Thank you. Trump is following Hitler's playbook. Well, the part where you coup and then are let go. Hitler even went to prison, but when they let him go, they're like, we think he's okay now. And, gather up where everybody, corporations and everybody on your side is scared of you and kisses your butt because you threaten to go after them, whatever. There's a lot of that playbook in there, yes. It's not just Hitler, though. It's a fascistic playbook that's been used again and again and again. Right? Overthrowing previous leaders. We, to the great shame of our country in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even helped in some of those efforts. But it's throwing out Allende for Pinochet on the other side of the spectrum. Although once you get to the far, far left and far, far right, and they're genocidal, it doesn't much matter. But Pol Pot, he went after all the educated people, all the people that had, wanted to move them all back onto farms. And ranches, probably like Deb Fischer's, except for they're a lot smaller, and they didn't know how to do the work. And if they couldn't figure out, they killed them. Good point. Hitler served in World War I. So Trump's even lazier than him and worse. He was a better artist than Trump, too. Clearly not good enough. I wish more people had bought his paintings and the world may have been different. Thank you, Fred. And all the duct tape for the chair repair worked for me. The chair, actually, I know you see that back there, but I don't know. I liked it. It kind of had a little charm. I've kept that on purpose. If you think it looks really terrible, you can all sort of say that and I'll get rid of it. But that's not there for a lack of, because it's like, I can't afford to get another one. I can get another chair. We're good there. Computer, however, will be expensive, but that it seems to be necessary. Yes, and Chipmunk Milk, of course, great line. I think Susan Collins thinks Trump finally learned his lesson. I'm sure she does, and she thinks Brett Kavanaugh is a good boy too, and not still a blackout drunk and never harassed women. And what do we got here? Norfolk Southern is one. I think we're having a conversation here about corporations and the railroads and so I'm missing something. Well, yeah, I mean, Lefty Graham's Ohio legislature is pure pay to play. I mean, we're a joke. We haven't been democratic for a number of years here. We at least got the abortion rights ballot amendment passed, and they tried to trick people with the language in that one. They got even more bold tricking people in the language of our anti-gerrymandering thing, and they actually tricked enough people to vote against it and spent millions on lying to people so that we couldn't un-gerrymander our legislature, because that was about their jobs. They don't want to have to run for office. They don't want to have their ideas or their intelligence tested. They have neither. They look a lot like large pupiled Billy Bob Fischer, whatever his name is, like old slack-jawed losers who can run in a state legislative seat where they have no competition except for someone even dumber and further to the right. So they act like happy little fascists, and they end up taking over our state legislature. Now that Sherrod Brown is gone, we're going to either have to fight back hard here and recover, Sherrod lost. Honestly, it wasn't Bernie Moreno, it was Donald Trump at the top. He has that weird charisma that turns these people out. And in a number of seats, the only exception was Pennsylvania, and that's because McCormick had his own money, the right winger. He's a billionaire too. Shocker. But most of the other seats, as you saw, Ruben Gallego, right? Places, people like that, we still won because a lot of these folks turned out for Trump and then didn't bother down. Only a certain percent of them bothered down ticket. There's like 10, 12, 15% fall off. So if you could win, Trump won by less than 10 points. They're all fine in the Senate for the most part, exception of Pennsylvania. But problem is, of course, is that with John Tester and Sherrod Brown, who are honestly two of the most legitimate, honest, one a multi-generation farmer, one a regular working class guy who Sherrod Brown and John Tester were honestly two of the best in terms of perspective in there, and we lost them both, and it's because they just couldn't overcome that at the top of the ticket. So I'm hoping that Sherrod runs for Vance's open seat, because I do think he can win without Trump at the top of the ticket. And I do think there's also going to be a backlash because Trump is going to be as evil and awful as we expect and screw everything up. And I think, assuming we ensure we have elections, which it's up to all of us to do for midterms, I think there will be a major comeback in our direction. And I think if Sherrod would run, he might be able to win that seat. But we need a lot of stuff. Anything else we wish to discuss, my friends? I had some stuff here. I think we've talked about most of the main topics, from Trump's press conference to Greenland to Deb Fischer again and again. Don't understand Trump's charisma, hopeful flip-flops. Neither do I. It clearly isn't one that works on normal humans, right? Rich people voting for him, I'm disgusted, but I get it, right? But all these MAGA idiots who just think that he does clearly have something that appeals to them, and I don't get what the hell it is. This time I'm even having trouble getting this off the screen. Life is but a dream. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Rights aid Rob, I think is what it is. I'm gonna say don't trust most billionaires. Again, I know Mark Cuban personally, and I think he's a terrific guy. And I've met one or two others that also are billionaires, and they're very good people too. There are exceptions to every rule. But I think if you're saying start off not trusting them until proven otherwise, yes, I would say that. Just the way I feel with corporate media. Don't trust them until you've been convinced they can be trusted. With monopolistic organizations, right? Do not trust large companies that are monopolistic until they've proven they can be trusted. The onus is on them to prove they can be trusted. Triva, my own doctor's office misappropriated my data. By misappropriating, I'm assuming you're meaning misappropriating. They took it and used it for their. I mean, I would think you'd have a legal case there. I could be wrong. He's not. I don't know if he's quite. So I saw somebody else say that Mark Cuban is their favorite billionaire. I will throw another name out there. Some of you may or may not have heard of Nick Hanauer, who's a really interesting guy. He originally made his money. He was the number 6 investor, I believe, in Amazon, maybe earlier. He knew Jeff Bezos in high school, and it won't shock you to know has nothing to do with Jeff Bezos anymore. And privately says some maybe not so nice things about him. But he cashed out early, probably because of some of that. He's incredibly liberal. He supports a lot of causes on the left. He always, when they call him a billionaire, argues he's not a billionaire, and it's wrong. But I think he's pretty close. So if he's not a billionaire, 800, 900 million, I think you're probably doing well. And Nick is a terrific guy. Has rejected everything that his old friend Bezos has done and has helped out really economic left. I mean, he's called for higher taxes, been one of the leading voices calling for higher taxes on people like himself, a middle out economy, as he calls it, bolstering the middle class, bolstering unions, all the kind of stuff. He fought to get the Seattle minimum wage up to $15. Nick was key in that. That was one of the first places to do it, and made the argument, of course, that the minimum wage actually allowed people to buy things. It helped the economy overall. So the stupid argument that you raise the minimum wage and people would get fired was dumb. And he was right. So we do have there are some good folks. I'm just saying, understand that there are exceptions. And I'm going to agree with you, Lefty Gramps, on this. When you say billionaires should not exist, period. I don't know if I'm not at that point. I'm at the point where I think when you hit $1 billion, we should then tax you at a 95% or so rate from there on. So you make $100 million the next year, we're taking 95 million of it. That's kind of how I see it. I think once you hit $1 billion, it should be really, 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 really hard to get to 2 billion. That's how I would do it. But don't think that means that up to $1 billion, I'm like, I've been in favor of all of the proposals. AOC's proposal that we tax. I mean, again, I would do it at a higher rates than AOC and Elizabeth Warren said, but I don't know that, we're having enough trouble getting their rates through. Maybe we should say higher so it ends up where they are. But I think all income over 10 million, AOC proposed 70% income tax rate. Absolutely. I'm 100% in favor of that. I might take it to 80 or more. And Elizabeth Warren's, I think, was either 2 or 3% wealth tax on all wealth you have above 50 million. Absolutely. Absolutely. Though I'd probably lower it to 25 million, start there, maybe even lower. And above 50, I might make it 5%. I might make it 10%, above 100 million. I mean, again, but these are not things we can necessarily do. So there's believing it and there's making it happen. Yes, and Mr. WW brings up the $1 billion annual income doesn't exist without capital gains. Again, another thing that happened under Reagan. Work used to be valued more than money you made in the markets. Reagan flipped that on its head, lowered the capital gains rate, because all these investments were going to pay off in jobs for everybody. They did not. It was exactly what you'd expect. Wealthy people hoarded the money that came in. They already had all of the basic needs of theirs. So they just bought more yachts or other stuff that were often bought from abroad. Didn't help our workers at all. Or they tossed it in a Swiss bank, something like that. Foreign stocks, all sorts of things to diversify. Didn't help American workers one bit. They took all this money out of the economy that should have been going to middle class people who were actually in lower middle class people and poorer people and upper middle class people who would have bought stuff. So the whole capital gains theory was idiotic. I mean, right away, the fact that our capital gains rate is below our income tax rate it tells you where our priorities are. It's utterly stupid. It should be the opposite. Obviously. Even like, our Social Security tax right now. I've worked with Social Security Works before and helped them fight back the last attempt to cut Social Security. It's the last one, the one before. It's hard to remember because every time the right's in power. And as you may know, there's a Social Security tax keeps going up, right? At this point, I believe it's the first 175,000 of your of your income is taxed. I think it should be the opposite. So do a lot of other folks. Why should the first 175? So people who, I mean, it's a regressive tax. It's, yeah, Social Security. Let's increase Social Security. We do that by taxing everybody who makes above $1 million a year. Let everybody who makes under $1 million, or choose your number. I think that's a good number, though. Let them make up all of those taxes, and then let's cut it for everybody else, so they get the Social Security without having to pay the taxes for it. Wow, would that be great for the economy? Suddenly, all these lower middle class and middle class people would have all this money in their pockets, and they'd spend it on stuff. Again, we know how to do this stuff. We had nothing to do with that. Nothing. We know how to fix everything, right? I mean, Western Europe, Canada, Australia, they're not perfect, but a lot of other countries in different areas, some have failed in some are better than others. Like, everyone has shown us a model. France, the country I was just in, has the cheapest and best healthcare system in the world, rated that way pretty much every year. Why? Well, because if you decide you're not a barbarian, you're going to leave somebody to die on the road. If they get in an accident, they don't have health insurance, they go to the hospital. Who pays for it? Why? We all do. And then they also get into medical debt, and that follows them around forever. How stupid, how short-sighted. I mean, it's not just like lacks empathy, it's awful for our economy. So, I mean, again, France, they have great basic healthcare. And then for wealthy people, you can buy the extra stuff if you want. Of course, wealthy people there is not the same thing as here because they have a much higher tax rate. So yes, they have multimillionaires and whatever, probably a billionaire or two even, but it's not the wealth disparity of here. So yeah, you can buy extra health insurance, but your basic health insurance, you're not worrying. I can't tell you one of the things talking to my friends and when I was in France, you're never worried. Like, what am I going to do? I have to put my mom in a home, or I have to get home health care, or I need to double the prescriptions, or it's not even a concern because your basic health care covers it. And if you're very wealthy, I should say, it probably doesn't cover 100% of it, but then you're very wealthy. You could pay some of it. The point is if you're bad, if you don't have money, you're covered. Practically every major European nation is dissatisfied with leadership, Mr. WW. Well, yeah, but that has nothing to do with economic policies. It has to do with a long ride of inflation and other problems, and it has to do with the after effects of COVID. Lock people up for a period of time. I mean, this is the way the way it happens. People got isolated. People, it caused mental health issues. It's what we had to do, and we didn't do enough of it here, which caused even more issues. But if you want to prevent a mass contagion, and I still don't think we fully recovered from what COVID did. So yeah, people were pissed and kicking out all of their leaders because they feel like there's been too much inflation. Their kids were home. People were dealing with taking care of their kids while working, while doing all this. They're pissed and they were dissatisfied. But that doesn't mean it's because of their leaders who were in charge. All of these places have kicked out their incumbents. That includes conservative incumbents, right? Poland did that. I mean, so again, if you want to have an honest discussion about it, yeah, everybody's dissatisfied, but there are good reasons for it. Not to mention Putin's war on Ukraine, another big reason, causing shortages, gas, oil, other sorts of issues in Europe. And then disinformation being spewed by Putin, China, other people. At least they're far better in Western Europe about preventing it than we are. They try, as I've said, but they can't prevent everything. I mean, there are reasons for people to be unhappy. But again, like comparing us to the happiness of people in Western Europe, I'm just telling you, all I'm going to tell you is I was just there. Right? And I'm not going to speak for every Western European country. I'm not going to even speak for every part of France, but I was along the southern coast of France, which, by the way, is one of the more conservative parts of the country. I was in Nice and I was up in Paris, and it has nothing of the feeling of this place. The dread that you can just see in people's eyes if you live anywhere in sort of a well-populated area where probably the majority, a solid majority of people are sane and voted for Harris. You don't feel it there, and they're going through their own crises. They had to pull together the far left into a coalition to defeat Le Pen, and they're still worried about Le Pen in the upcoming presidential election because they have a hybrid system of prime minister and president. And Macron is at the end of his constitutional limit, and they're concerned. Of course, they're concerned, but it's not the same feeling as here. French Riviera is a wealthy area. Well, it is a wealthy area, but if you think that I just went and was in every sort of wealthy part of it and wasn't going to smaller towns that are dealing with issues that small towns deal with here, I did go to places like that. I also went to Paris and was in not so wealthy areas of Paris. I'm not claiming I got the perfect microcosm of everything in Europe or France or whatever. I can tell you that I was having a conversation with Bob Seska today when I was co-hosting his show about the feeling here. It feels like when I used to do debates at Fox News and I would walk in and you just didn't feel like you're in America anymore. People were angry and they were resentful and, they were looking at you strange. Who's the liberal and all that? And in parts of the United States, you've got that now. I didn't feel that in France. I'm sorry. Even people are dissatisfied with the economy. Even if they don't love Macron. It's just not the same feeling. A lot of people here have disengaged from politics because they're so sad because they just think we're screwed. So Americans live to work and Europeans work to live. Yeah. I find a middle ground between that. I love my work and I work hard. And, I've said before, I don't have to even do what I'm doing here. I have another company that is what my main thing is, but I do like to work. I also like to play. I think you can do both. You can find a happy medium where you do both. I don't think until whatever force of nature takes me from this spiraling planet, I'll stop working. I mean, unless I don't have the mental capacity or physical capacity to do it. But if I can write columns or things when I'm 90 years old, if somehow I'm still here, I'll do it. There we go. Holly Fafo. I love France. Yep. One of my favorite. I lived on Montmartre for 8 days. Yes. Well, that's where our hotel was. Montmartre is the plus jolie en France. It's actually, I think it's the best. Sacré-Cœur, which I find prettier than the Notre Dame, which they just reopened, is up there. I love Sacré-Cœur, that church. The neighborhood, Moulin Rouge, right up around the area there. Montmartre is c'est parfait, I would say. It is the best. It is perfect. That is where I would live if I could afford it and I lived in Paris. A happy medium is what work to live is, Cliff. Well, suppose that that may be true. I guess it depends how you take it. I took it more as a work because you have to work to live. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. I'm mixing it up with live to work. My bad. Yeah, I think it's a happy medium. I mean, you may be right. Whatever. What depends on whatever your interpretation of it is. I'm not insulting what they do over there, and I think everybody does different things. Some of the stuff that I do that I guess could be considered work, I just enjoy doing. It's also a hobby. So, like writing, But yeah, so yeah, it's probably right. Americans are the working drone. It's not like another country. It's just not like in other countries. And again, look, countries change over time. I've been to 30 countries, spent a reasonable amount of time in Japan where they work pretty hard and still, I don't think it's like here. There's a lot of pressure, but not like here. I lived in the United Kingdom. I lived in France. Spent a good deal of time in Italy. Of course, if I spent a good deal of time in Europe, those are probably the countries I've spent most time in. Others for shorter periods of time. To think about it a little bit, but it's not the same as here. So, guys, I think I'm going to call this session to an end. Really enjoyed getting back here and talking to everybody again. Guys, I hope you had good breaks. I hope you're hanging in there. I hope you're, emotionally, we all have gone through something. Oh, Christine Kane lived for 3 years as a kid in the 60s in France. Fantastic. I wish I had. I've not been to Australia, no. And YL, I had a planned trip to spend a summer there. Money fell through. I ended up spending it in St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, which actually is another great place to go and enjoy yourself. But Australia is on the list because good friend of my wife's from college lives there with her husband who's Australian. They're raising their kids there. We're going to get there. But I'm really glad to do this show today. I'm glad we got sort of back on the horse, so to speak. Again, I ask all of you folks, if you're still with us, Jim, if you can put up the Patreon one more time, or I can, please, guys, go check it out. Again, it's going to have all new levels tomorrow, a 4, a 5, a 10. So just keep that in mind. Keep in mind, like, this is the kind of, like, we can have hopefully this community there where also there can be posting going on, where you can post and I can post, and we can really create a little community there. That's kind of my hope. I feel like we've done some of that here, that we could do some of that there. I will never stop doing these live streams. I'll never stop putting up videos on YouTube. I don't want anybody to think that. And I'll never stop accepting and providing the same content, except without the curses and stories, to YouTube members. But everyone I can get over to Patreon, I'm hoping to get over to Patreon. And that's it. That's the story. So come on, guys. Do I have to do my Jerry Maguire? Who's coming with me? Anybody with a super chat? Small one? New Year's super chat? Cliff buying a new computer, super chat or super sticker? Although if you go and you join the Patreon, that would be fantastic. And then, that would be just as good. But just one for folks to see. Do we have one? We have one small super chat, super sticker into the Cliff new computer fund so his mic doesn't stop working and it's less annoying. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Come on. Don't make me get up and do this. I joined your Patreon. Thank you, Cynthia. See, that's good enough, actually. That's what I needed. So I've got a couple cool other things coming up. I'm trying to decide where to do, I'll surprise you tomorrow. I've got a fun little rant coming up on some people that I used to like and respect in a show I used to go on. Thank you, guys. Triva, that's a very kind $15 super chat sticker chat, and Sheldon Hughes with a $2 super sticker. Thank you, Sheldon, and NNYL with a $10 super sticker. You guys have come through for me. Now I'm leaving with that goldfish. You see, seriously, thank you. I honestly really, Sheldon just told me he joined Patreon today. I'll be on Patreon when I finally get my new card. Wow, everybody, I'm loving this. Thank you so much. Wayne Gowen, I want to pronounce it right. That looks like that's almost French. Is giving me a great $20 super chat. And thank you so much, guys. And I'm really heartened by all of you talking about joining the Patreon. You will, when you check out the levels, whatever you can afford, you will get your money's worth. I promise you that. I will do more. I'm promising you the bare minimum of things, which is already a ton, as you'll see when you see new stuff tomorrow. And I will do more because I want to make that a hub. And then we'll add Substack if you want to get the writing on top of that. And we'll figure out a way maybe to combine. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Cliff, Microbyte, did you do? It is French. Wayne Guillon. Je ne peux pas lire ça. All right. Thank you for saying that, Sheldon. That makes me feel great. It really does. Microbyte, I was on Bob's show today. I talked about it a few times earlier. If you got here late, we'll rebroadcast this show probably about 6 if you want to see it, something like that, and then 9 a.m. tomorrow. And Bob's may already be out for all I know. That guy moves quickly. It's audio, but man, he edits like he's good. This ended up turning out great. Thank you. I'll be at 0 subscriptions. Triva saying by January 20th. Cool. And then hopefully you can join the Patreon and be at 1. If we can get that to the place where it needs to be and get and then get a Substack moving, and then I can worry less about YouTube and what it does to me. And when it, I even said a few things today, like just, mentioning RFK Jr. Like I worry, like he's talking about conspiracies. Like I'm tired of really worrying about that. And this will allow for community, allow for a direct connection that we feel in here, but even more so because we'll be able to post with each other. And if you join at certain levels, there will be Zooms if people can afford that. And if they can't, we can again talk about things and maybe figure out ways to make that happen. So we're going to have a lot more of a community, a lot more connection. I'm excited about this. I'm excited that all you guys embrace this. Thank you, honestly. Let's keep kicking some butt, make a difference. And I almost forgot because it's been such a while. But I would say, as the sun sets slowly in the west, folks, I bid you a fond farewell.